This Ashes of Creation video is all about lumber milling levels 1 through 10. How many trees do you need to process? What's the point of doing this? How much does it cost? And how long does it take? Let's dive into it. If you don't know what lumber milling is, it is one of the processing trees where you take, processing skill trees, where you take trees or wood and you turn it into products. So when you chop trees, you can turn them into timber at levels 1 through 10. That's pretty much all you can do with it. Now, once you've upgraded that, you can then start to turn things into planks, boards, and even possibly paper. It really depends. And the trees that you chop are based on your biome. Now, this is not a general lumber milling guide. This is purely just information of how long it takes to level 1 through 10 without any scrolls, without any processing experience scrolls, without any special tools, without any special gear, and without city buffs. I'll be discussing the cost of if you're on a fresh start server and you have to pay the 50% tax in the starter zones versus if you just pay a regular amount of tax in a town on an established server. So let's get into the nitty-gritty and the numbers. Alright, so here is the straight up info. In order to level lumber milling to level 10, you're going to need to process 800 wood into 800 timber. Now, this is going to cost you 800 sanding powder, and if you buy them in a starter town, you have to pay 50% tax, so 8 copper plus 50% is 12 copper each. So this will cost you a total of 96 silver at a 50% tax rate. If you can find a 10% tax rate town, it will only cost you 72 silver. For me, it's like a few extra mobs you gotta grind. You gotta AoE grind a few extra pulls. Not a big deal to just pay the tax early on, especially on a fresh start server. No reason to wait. Now, the cost to mill it in a 50% tax town is 35 copper each. When you're doing 800 at a time, that is going to be 2.8 gold or 2 gold, 80 silver for those that don't understand how gold and silver is converted. Now, the total cost on a fresh start server using 50% tax rate for lumber milling 1 to 10 is 3 gold, 76 silver. The processing time is going to take 400 total minutes or 6 hours and 40 minutes of time. Now, if you split the time to process between 2 different crafting benches, which every starter zone has, like a town nearby. Let me show you an example. So, if I start here at Hammer Rest and I go south to Hammer Rest Trade Post, I can use both of these benches to cut that time down in half, which would only be 3 hours and 20 minutes, which is what I would recommend you do. Now, when you do process the wood, you will earn 90 adventuring XP per timber, and you will earn 50 lumber milling XP. You also get 1 wood chip. You'll earn 800 wood chips by doing this, and 72,000 XP or 40,000 lumber milling XP, which will put you at level 10. Now, as far as I am aware, the type of tree does not matter for XP, but for this experiment, I'm in the north in the Anvils region, and I specifically only chopped adult eastern hemlock trees. I have not tried every tree in the game. I have not tried every biome in the game, but this is the numbers that I got by only chopping that specific tree. Also, because I did this with no processing gear, no shirt, no pants, nothing. I only got regular materials, so this is what it looks like. Here's all the timber. Here's all the wood chips in this storage. And then as I go through different towns, I'd use multiple towns for storage, by the way. So let me get to, so here we go. Here's all the timber, and quite a bit there. But no rares, no special procs on crafting or anything of the sort. Now, if you were to wear specific gear, like a shirt, you got the undergarment, the pants, and so on, that has to do with processing. You popped processing scrolls of XP and whatnot. Yeah, you can increase these numbers. You can increase the rarity. And of course, if you're level 20 and you eat the processing food and elixir or potion buff, then you would get even better quality materials. But I don't have those numbers. I don't have access to that. I'm not level 20 on the alpha client. Now, if you were to just vendor the timber and the wood chip, you'd get at 800 each. Well, you get 14 copper back, but if you vendored it 800 times, you would get back 1 gold, 12 silver, which would lower the cost of leveling this up to 2 gold, 64 silver. However, you should not ever do this. Do not vendor wood chips. Do not vendor timber. You need timber for crafting things. You need timber to make boards, which is also, you know, tier 2 material, tier 1 material. I forget the tier, but they don't really call it tiers in this game. I'm borrowing terminology from another game. But again, wood chips are also used for other things. And mainly that would be making mulch. Now, to make mulch, you have to go to the farming bench. It looks like a little pitchfork icon here. And mulch is using any plant and wood chips. You also just have to buy the rot root pulp from the vendor that's usually just kind of near the bench. I'm not sure where the vendor is. They're somewhere nearby, but you just buy that from the vendor. You can see here it's bought from agricultural supply or the marketplace. And that makes mulch, and mulch is used to grow fruits and vegetables, like celery, lettuce, and blackberry, and there's other things too, but, so if you, farmers need mulch, so they need wood chips. Never ever vendor these, and never vendor your timber. Also, in the past, the way these processing scrolls work is, even though it says it only lasts 5 minutes, the way it works is, before you process the materials, you want to pop the scroll, and then whenever you pop it into the station, it will take a snapshot of all of your buffs to calculate the XP rewards later. So even though it takes, you know, 2 to 4 hours to process, and the scroll only lasts 5 minutes, you pop the scroll, you put it in the materials, you make it start, and then when the scroll wears off, when you go to collect it, you will be collecting it with that buff, that scroll buff. So if you want to level it up faster, that's fine, though you're going to need to process a ton of timber anyway, because in order to level your lumber milling past level 10, you need timber. You need timber and trees to make boards, alright? And you're going to need timber for everything, that basically everything else that requires lumber milling, you'll need timber for. So timber, like, you can't skip this step unless you're buying it already made from other players. And there's always a shortage on the market, at least on the servers that I'm on. So, it is a way you can make money, though it's a little bit tedious. But you will need some money to start, so don't just make an alt character and just chop trees. Level up and play normally, and then save your gold and save your silver. And then as you play, you can, you know, start working on lumber milling. And you may be wondering, well, what is the use for lumber milling? Well, it's used to craft bows, it's used to craft boats, caravans, crates, boxes. It's the paper is used for scrolls later on, for scribes, very important there. There's a lot of things that it's used for, but if you are a character that plans to use any kind of physical range DPS weapon, then lumber milling might be for you. But besides that, lumber milling is probably one of the easiest things to level in the game. Now, once you get beyond level 10, you do want to look for a town that has a wood shop. So if I go to this town, Val Gadim, and go to buildings, there isn't one. All right, this one has 2 textile mills for some reason, right? But if I go over here to Kaltorum, and again, every server's different. It's whatever the mayor decides to build. They're going to have a wood shop. All right, wood shop allows you to do process your lumberjacking stuff, the lumber mill station, the carpentry station, and so on and so forth. So very, very important that you either gather around a town that has trees. Like, I don't know why this town decided to have a wood shop, even though there's barely any trees around this town. It makes no sense. Why wouldn't they pick a town where there's lots of trees near them, huh? But yeah, trees are super abundant. They're literally everywhere. It pairs well with lumberjacking. So, again, if you want a gathering profession and a processing profession, then lumber milling and, of course, lumberjacking go hand in hand. Pretty obvious stuff. Anyway, that's all I've got. If you just skip to the end of the video, here's all the info in text form on the screen for you. But with that said, please leave a like. These videos are not doing well, and I can't continue to make videos for Ashes if they don't get enough views, and they won't get any views if you don't like the video. I know. You have to click a button. I'm sorry that I'm asking you to do something, please. But also, I have no life, no friends, no family, so I read every comment. So please leave a comment if you have any questions. And finally, click the video on the right side of your screen or you're gonna get a horrible cold and your voice is gonna sound weird. Dun dun dun. Here's a kiss on your forehead. Mwah. Now you're gonna get sick from it.